Hey, it's Harrison Burns, the Grieving Teens again. And today we have a grief discussion with Irene, and we're going to get started right away. Irene, go ahead and give me your age, just for the record, one more time.
I'm 19 years old.
Okay. Well, Irene, today we're discussing how to get other people to talk about their grief, the methods that people and friends use to help family members, coworkers, friends, any close or loved ones in their life, and the methods that you utilize and you have personally used to help other people. Um, it comes to the territory of knowing the person as the best way to handle helping them open up. But my first question to you is about you yourself. And I want to know what it was that made you originally open up about the things you were going through. Was it a friend that saw you in pain and told you, hey, it's time to talk? Was it you personally? You saw like a boiling point coming and you were just reaching a breaking point. You needed to get it out. What was it that made you originally start talking?
Well, for me, the type of person to bottle up her feelings to the point where it's about to explode, and that when I know it's about to explode is when my anxiety is like really rising so much. And since I am diagnosed with depression and anxiety, my anxiety is really bad to the point where I just have to let it out. And I only talk to the people who I would trust the most because I do have trust issues due to history of events that I had in the past that has made me have trust issues. So there's only like certain people who I trust in my life, and it's hard for me to open up to other people. But if I do end up like talking to you, it's like something that I usually don't ever do. So it's hard to like for me to open up to people due to having trust issues.
I understand. So, was it friends that kind of saw you in pain that they realized something was wrong and they wanted you to kind of get help for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good friends. We
Yeah,
got to keep eye out.
there's some good friends who like see that I'm in pain and like they know right away that I've done this like my face will show there's something wrong, and that's where like they'll talk to me about it.
Well, I want to know what are some of the ways in which we can approach others to start talking about their pain? How can we first kind of broach the topic with them of expressing how they're feeling and what they're going through? And how can we be a friend to them?
Well, from experience, I would have like a, the only way I could approach them is if they're really okay, and I would like ask them if they're okay, or like reassuring them, and that if there's like anything that they need, they could like talk to us about it. And if they do end up talking to you, the only best way that you can like help them is to first listen to what they're saying, like literally listen to every word that they're saying, and from there on, while you're like listening, just keep on like mind of like advice that you're gonna give them in order for them to like see what they're gonna do in the future with their decisions and with how they're gonna approach the situation. So that way they'll feel comfortable enough to talk to you and
Mhm.
help them in many ways that you can. It may not be like through action, but it can be through words and through listening their story, because listening is the most important thing in the story, is listening and being there for them and just not interrupting them mid story, because that's they're gonna feel like they're gonna be like not able to talk about their story. So it's important to listen to them first.
Okay. So, listen first, ask questions, and listen again.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with because they want to get their opinions out because they want to help others, but they oftentimes will cut others short who are trying to explain how they're feeling. And it oftentimes will overshadow the true nature of what's really causing it. And whenever I start discussing resolutions to issues and solutions to problems, a lot of the time you have to understand that some people don't want answers to their problems. They don't want it to be solved. Sometimes people just want a shoulder to cry on and an ear to listen. And that's what I will preface every single conversation with someone who's dealing with grief is, do you want me to listen and sympathize with you, or do you want me to offer solutions to the problem? Because with my background and my experience, it's a lot of the time, especially with, I'll say it, especially with men and males in general, we want to solve the issue. But the problem behind that is we don't listen well enough a lot of the time. So the question that I will ask and I'll propose before anybody starts ranting to me or anybody starts talking is, do you want me to just listen to you and be there for you? Or do you want me to help you solve the problem at hand? Because there's two main types that I've seen. And so that's the question that you have to ask friends and other people who are dealing with something is, do you want solutions or do you want sympathy? That's really the biggest thing. And from there, that's how you tackle the rest of the conversation. And that's how you approach everything else thereafter. And who knows, they might just want to be heard for the first time. And then days, weeks, months, hell, even years sometimes, they'll ask, okay, I want some help. I want some answers. I want to figure it out. But that's the biggest thing, is just being there for them. In your experience, does it help to show vulnerability in a conversation? Like, for instance, showing sympathy, like, hey, I've been there too. I understand. I can't empathize because I'm not you, but I can sympathize because I've had similar experiences or I understand. Does it help to show that kind of sympathy and that vulnerability of willing to share to get them to share back? Does that kind of help people open up in your experience, would you say?
I don't know. I always thought that doing that wouldn't help at all because it feels like you just like throwing your problems at them. Like I just feel like it won't work that way because um yeah, it may be possible like here and there like sometimes, but like not as often because I feel like if you just like say something from your like past and stuff like that, it would just like throw them off,
Hmm.
and they're gonna feel like it's all about you instead of all about them.
That's an interesting perspective. I like that. You know,
Yeah, and I really don't like talking about like my own problems. If someone's going through like something, I don't like throwing my problem like my situations at them because I feel like they're gonna like feel like they're getting like close in the bubble, and like I feel like they won't like they feel like they're gonna feel like um they won't be able to be understood. Like if that makes sense.
it
That
does.
I don't like talking about my problems unless if it's like relevant or something like that. But other than that, I just don't like throwing my problems at them until they explain to me what's going on with like the story, until like I give them advice, until like I am able to like feel like I express my feelings or my situations. But other than that, I wouldn't suggest like throwing like their events at them before they finish talking.
Okay. So instead of utilizing it as a tool to get them to first open up, wait until they're willing to share and they've told you everything. That way you can be like, okay, I understand. And here's my side of things and how I handled it. Just to kind of give them options. I like that. I like that perspective. I guess there's a way and there's a way, and there's also a time and place for all things. I like that. Um, my last question to you is, what are some of the methods that you've used to help others or heck, even yourself through grief? Do you write? Do you just take time to read? Do you meditate, exercise? Do you socialize with people? Do you like to isolate? Do you watch movies or TV shows? What do you like to do in order to kind of help yourself through the grieving process? Because I think a lot of people misunderstand that the grieving process has a lot of downtime, and I don't think people understand that. There's a lot of time where you're alone with your thoughts, or even with a lot of people if you have a big family or you can't get away. There's time in which you're going to look inward introspectively and have to kind of self-analyze. And certain people use certain methods to help them cope and move forward with things to not only fill the time, but also help themselves. So, how do you help yourselves or others?
Well, from how I help other people is like I told you before, I listen to their story first. And once they're finished with whatever they're saying, I give them like advice, and if there's like something that I can't say, just like certain situations, I just stay quiet and I listen to their story. And that way I just like listen, I keep on listening, I keep on listening. And then once they're finished, I'll try to like stay quiet for like at least a couple of like seconds or like a minute to think of an advice. And from there on, I just like give them the best advice I can give. If not, I will also like suggest them if I can be there, I could suggest them to like write down their like thoughts. Because like I heard that writing down your thoughts and stuff like that is a great way to let out your feelings. And from one of my therapists, what she has told me before is that write down your thoughts in the paper, and once you're finished, burn them. And that's a great way to like let out your like feelings, and it'll feel great. And another way that um I also like let out my feelings is through cleaning my room, because most of people like me who are diagnosed with depression, anxiety, tend to like have a mess in the room. And for me, in order to like not do that, is I do the opposite thing. I clean my room. Like I always have to keep like if it's messy, I'll keep up like that for a couple of days until like I gather like my confidence to clean my room, and that's what I do.
Hmm.
That way I can just like feel better, and that way I just don't have to like worry about anything else. It really keeps me distracted from like my problems. It just keeps me distracted.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually heard about a lot of people who do that. I have OCD myself, so I try to keep my room as tidy as possible all the time anyway. But I've heard that before about writing it down and burning it, and the written word is a powerful thing. Um, and I've heard the burning it. Some people like to keep it. Some people like to store it away and lock it up. Some like to read it and self-analyze. There's different ways you can go about writing things down, but I think the reason why writing, particularly, and I wouldn't even suggest typing a lot of the time. I'm very verbally impatient, so I like to write things very quickly, or type things very quickly, or just even rant and speak through a maybe even like a voice message or voice memo on my phone, because a lot of the time my brain works a lot faster than my mouth or my hand can keep up with writing. But for some people, I think it's important, and I even do this myself, and I'll catch myself doing this. Writing things down forces you essentially to slow your pace with your thought process, because, again, like I said, your hand can't keep up with your mind. So it forces you to really look at what you're writing and why you're writing what you're writing. So it slows you down and it helps you look a little bit more truthfully at yourself. So I agree with that. And there are other methods that people use and other means of catharsis to kind of assist people in their endeavors of resolving things peacefully and not violently, or not emotionally outlandishly. It just depends. People are different. Everybody has a different story and everybody has a different method to help themselves. But I think the most honest method that we can use is honesty with oneself and being real with yourself, to self analyze and to realize why it is what you're feeling is really important. And that was something that I kind of lived my life by, is knowing yourself, knowing what works for you. And because it might not work for other people, but the more opinions and the more information that's brought in from friends who want to help other people, it gives different perspectives on things. And so you don't just have one voice chirping in your ear the entire time, being your own. You have your friends, you have your family members, you have your coworkers, you have student staff, anybody who you work with or just generally socialize with on a daily basis. It helps to get their input because it might work for you. But Irene, that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate your input on this matter because it helps, like I said, to get other people's perspectives. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.